Hey YouTube, it's Marita and welcome to another edition of the Nurse Lounge. And in this edition, this video was recommended by a subscriber, and someone on IG. Somebody on IG, one of my followers on IG. And she wanted to know, how is it that let me give you the backstory. I actually posted my grades thus far in my doctoral program. And so she wanted me to do a video on how to have a work-life-school balance and still make mostly A's. So I'm going to go ahead and insert right here my grades thus far. And as you saw on those grades that, I had all A's and one B. And I am in a doctoral program, and it is a part-time 3-year program that I'm in. And so I purposely did that because of my work and my kids. But as you see on my transcript, my unofficial transcript, that I have all A's, 1 B, and 2 P's, which means it's pass or fail class, and I passed those classes. So the B came from a class in which we had a group project, and the entire class, the entire project, the entire grade was based off of this one group project. And we had a classmate who dropped the program, and therefore it impacted our grade. So nonetheless, I got a B in that class. That is the only B I got in my program because of the group work situation. So I always tell people, if you can avoid group work, which is really not avoidable, but if you could avoid it, try to work by yourself, or find someone who is like-minded like you are in terms of getting their work done and being proactive in terms of getting everything done and rechecking the work, and is not okay with being subpar. I had group members who were okay with mediocre, and they were the 11.5-hour type people where it's due at midnight and 11 o'clock at night. They're still trying to tweak some things. I'm like, it should have been already turned in by that point. So that's why I got that B in that one class, but all the rest of my classes are A's. And those 2 P's, which are just pass fail. And so in case you didn't know, I am a 3rd-year doctoral student, and I will be graduating on May 16th, 2020 with my DNP, doctoral degree, in which DNP stands for Doctor of Nursing Doctor of Nursing Practice. I am a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for 15 years. And my specialty area of focus is executive leadership. So that basically means that I will be in leadership type positions when I finish school. At least that's the plan. So anyway, she wanted to know, how is it that I can balance school, work, and life, including my kids, and make A's for the most part. So I'm going to give you a few tips that I have been doing that has helped me be successful in doing so. So I have a note card here, as you can see, and I will be looking down from time to time just to make sure I stay on track. The first thing I put on my list is sacrifice. So in order for me to make the grades that I make, I had to say there's some things that I'm not going to be doing. So I cannot do the things that my friends do. I had to cut back on going out with my friends, cut back on shopping, which I love to do. I still shop, but definitely not to the extent that I was before. So I had to cut back on that. I've had to find alternate activities to do that was cost effective for my budget, because I had to cut my hours for work. So I now go work out at this dance cardio class. It's $3 per class. And so I'm still getting exercise, but I'm exercising for much less. I do have a membership to Planet Fitness. So I do still go to the gym and work out. And I also have a yoga mat and some weights here at home, free weights here at home, that I actually use to still be able to exercise and do those things, but at the same time, cut back, because that's what I have to do in order to survive, shall I say. The next one was planning. So when it came to planning, I specifically knew this is the program that I wanted to do. And when I looked up this program, I researched it. I saw how long it took to do it. I saw what the clinical requirements were. And I knew with the clinical requirements, I was going to have to cut my hours at work. And so I basically planned for that. The program that I'm in, you could either do 2 years, which is full time, or 3 years, which is part time. And I chose the part time track because of the fact that I knew I could not do full time and probably be successful. So I did not want any undue stress to me. So I purposely picked the part time track, which again is 3 years for me to complete that program. And I am the beginning of year 3. So it's been a journey. It's flew by, very, very quickly. I've been doing very well in classes, but I feel like it's partially because of the fact that I did not have a need to just get done. I have a master's degree already. I'm already working as a nurse. So for me personally, there was not a need for me to rush to get this degree done. And I think that contributes greatly to my success in terms of feeling like I have time to actually work on my work and not be rushed and feel like I'm actually learning something in the process, which if you're paying as much money as I'm paying for this doctoral program, you want to come out learning something in the process. So I planned well in advance. I knew I wanted to start school in 2017. So in 2016, about a year from the time at which I was going to be starting school, I started investigating how much school cost. I started investigating how much time I have to take off of work. I started investigating what the criteria was to graduate. Did I need a GRE to get into the program? Did I need to take the GRE to get into the program? What did I need to do? How often would I have to travel to campus? I planned all that, and all that you may think has nothing to do with me making A's, but it really does. Most of the programs that I looked at were up north. I'm in Tennessee, so they were all up north, and they required you to be on campus every semester for about at least a week. And if you factor in the fact that I have to take off of work for a week, so you're losing your income. You have to factor in the fact that to pay for hoteling, lodging, and travel, and food, gas. And you have to factor in the fact that my husband's gonna have to take off from work to keep the kids because they're not gonna be in school all the time that I'm gonna have to be away. So you factor in two people's incomes being lost, plus the expense of hotel travel and food and things like that. I found a school that was in state for one. So that's another thing. I didn't have to pay out of state tuition. So I found a school that was in state, and it is a private school, so it costs a lot of money, but it is 2 hours away from my house. So therefore, all those issues that I just talked about were diminished because of the fact that it's a closer university and it's only a 2 hour drive. So if I had to drive back and forth, I really could. I have not done that. I would still plan to be off and go to the hotel and stay near campus when I had to go to class, because it is a hybrid program, which means that I am on campus about once a semester, a few days a semester, every semester, with the exception of this one, because I'm pretty much done with my program at this point. I only have about this semester and spring semester to go, and then I'm done. I go to campus in April to present my project, and then I graduate in May. So planning is a big, 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 big deal. And everybody that I've talked to about going to any type of either nursing school or graduate program, planning is a must. If you have children, if you have a husband or wife, if you have just life, you have to work. You don't have the ability to move in with your parents or someone to let them stay with them until you finish school. You have to plan. You can't say, oh, I think I'll go to nursing school, and not have a plan for how you're going to live, how you're going to pay your bills, how are you going to eat, how are you going to pay, how are you going to do all these different things, how are you going to pay for nursing school. So I found it to be very important to make sure you do a lot of planning when it comes to doing these things. And you may say, well, what does that have to do with making A's? Well, it has a lot to do with it, because if you're struggling to figure out how you're going to pay your bills, if you're struggling to figure out how you're going to get to campus, if you're struggling to figure out how you're going to take care of your kids, or if you're struggling to figure out how you're still going to go to work 40 plus hours per week, then how do you think you're going to be successful in your classes if you're so focused or so stressed on those other issues? So planning is of paramount importance when it comes to just being successful in this kind of a program. So that's one thing I do. Something that I do when it comes to the syllabus specifically, or the classes specifically, I make sure the first day of class or whenever your class is open that you read that syllabus from beginning to end, and you highlight or do whatever you need to do to make sure that you understand exactly what that syllabus is requiring you or stating that you have to get done. Have your assignments, put in your calendar, get you a calendar or planner, and have those assignments in terms of, okay, it's due this date, it's due this date, it's due this date, it's due this date. And have those already put in your planner, so that way when you're planning the rest of your life, you can see, oh, I got a big paper due that day, I have a big project due that day, so I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. That helped me tremendously. Also, I always follow my rubric. So in our rubric, if you know what a rubric is, it basically tells you like the grades that you, like the criteria to make 100, a perfect score. And then it kind of breaks down for you, okay, you will get 10 points for this if you meet all these requirements. You'll get 8 points for this if you meet all these requirements, and so forth. And it has different what's the word I'm looking for? Different requirements. So maybe it's APA that you have to do, or grammar, or certain things that you have to, you have to have that outcome. And if you don't have that outcome, then you'll get points accordingly to what you do have. So I always look at my rubric, and I basically go to the exceptional side, the side that gives you all the points, and I make sure that every single thing it says on that exceptional side that I always have. I make sure I always have everything that it says. APA, I'm not gonna be honest. I'm not gonna be honest. I'm not going to lie to you. APA is not my strongest, but you best believe I'm going to make sure that all the other things that I have, so they're going to take off, say, 5 points. I'm going to make sure that I have everything else on point, because I know the APA is not my strongest. So if I get points taken away, it's going to be on that type of thing. Now, I've gotten much, much better with APA over the past 2 years. So, that's not really an issue for me anymore. But at the beginning of my program, it really, really was. So I would make sure that I follow that rubric to a T, and making sure that whatever I needed to get that full credit of however many points it was for each category, that I did so. If it was something that I didn't understand, that I, for one, reached out to the instructor or professor and found out, okay, what is it I need to do to fulfill these requirements. But I would, if it's something I still really didn't get, I wanted to make sure that everything else was on point, so that when I lost points, it would be on something that I knew that I was like, okay, well, I'm only gonna lose 5 points for that. That still gives me a 95 if I get everything else perfect, which is still an A. So, I planned according to that. One thing else I do is in our syllabus, now I don't know what your syllabus may say, but in our syllabus, it tells us to be successful in this class, meaning to be successful with an A in this class, you have to dedicate so many hours per week to this subject matter. So ours will tell us you need to dedicate 7 hours per week. That includes doing your reading assignments. That includes doing your forums. That includes doing your your assignments itself. That includes doing research. So if you're spending at least 7 hours per week per class, then you will 9 times out of 10 be successful in getting the A that you want to have for that class. And each, it also depends on how many credit hours the class is worth. So our classes are worth 3 credit hours. So we basically have to spend, at least double the credit hour amount in order to be successful with an A. And I make sure that I do that. So I read my assignments. I make sure I follow the syllabus. I follow the directions that, we got to do. I need all I can get. And one other thing I do to make sure that I get A's in my classes is the things that I know I can do and do well, I make sure I nail those, because I need to pad my grade in case it's an assignment that I have that I'm like, okay, I don't get this at all, and I'm just praying for a B. And so therefore, if I get a B, those other like discussion forums, for example, discussion forums, we hate those things. I hate them, even myself. But I typically do very well on my discussion forums. I usually get a 10 out of 10 or whatever the point is worth. It's whatever it is worth, I get 100 points on it. And so if we have 10 discussion forums in a semester, I make sure that I nail every last one of those, because I may need that 100% on all of those to help boost my grade if I don't do so well on something else in the course. So I've always made sure that I do well on that. When it comes to writing papers, I do very well with writing papers. I typically always get an A. I've always, actually my doctoral program, this whole program, I've gotten an A on all my papers. So I'm doing very well on my papers. So I know that's a strong suit of mine. So therefore I'm going to make sure I nail those papers, so that when I have an assignment, like I had an assignment on doing a, I forgot what it was called, a quality improvement initiative or something like that. We had to go do some financial data, or just do different things that we've never ever done before, and they didn't provide any really instruction about how to go about doing it. So I knew I was not going to be successful. I want to say successful. I knew I was going to make an A on that assignment, because of the fact that I had no idea what I was doing, and they were not offering any really sound advice. So what I did was, again, made sure that I padded my grade with everything that I knew I could do well on, so that I could make that A, and at the end of the semester end up with an A in the course. And that's exactly what happened. I think I got an A on that assignment still, because I just did the best that I could. But again, I wanted to pad my grade just to make sure that I knew, what was going on, and I could actually be successful in that class. The next thing I have on here is being disciplined. You will lose motivation throughout your program. I have what I call senioritis. If you remember in high school, your last year of high school, you have what's called senioritis, where you're like, I'm a senior. I don't even care anymore. You're so over it. You're over going to school every day. You're over these classes. You're over your instructors, teachers, or whatever. That's exactly where I am in my program. And I think that's just fatigue, mental fatigue and all that. And so it's normal to do that. So you have to kind of push yourself, because you don't have motivation anymore. So you are just disciplined. And that's exactly where I am. I'm very much disciplined when it comes to this program. I have days where I'm like, you know what? I have no desire to do this anymore. But I do have like a graduation, countdown app that I'm looking at. So I have things in front of me that's going to keep me motivated to say, okay, you've come too far. You have good grades. My GPA, I think, if you saw on the thing, was a 3.857 or something like that. And for a doctoral program, that's excellent. So even with that B, that's still excellent. And I'm very proud of, how hard I've had to work. But all that was because of the fact that I did these steps. It's because I'm disciplined. There's times where I want to go out with my friends, like I was saying before, that's a sacrifice. There's times where I want to go out of town, go to a concert, go do fun things. Times I want to talk on the phone. We like to talk on the phone, like to talk and carry on. And I'm like, okay, let me get off this phone, because I got to go ahead and start studying and getting ready for class and, things like that, because I have to be successful. And when it comes to this doctoral program, I think about, for me personally, my new title is going to be doctor in front of my name. And that's just kind of like, wow, you've actually made it this far to get your doctoral degree. So, that's kind of things that kind of keep me disciplined when I have lost motivation. Before doing this video, I actually finished, I had to do two forums today. And I did my forums and got them done. And, I'm doing my clinical hours at this point, so I'm almost finished with the program. But, getting up to go to clinical, when I know I'm not getting paid for it. So it's just like, oh, I don't feel like doing this. Now, when I go, I love it. I'm fine, because I learned so much. And I've learned so much that I think it's going to take me very far in what my future job is going to be once I finish my doctoral degree. But with that being said, I just honestly, I'm kind of like, I ain't feeling this. I ain't feeling it. So, I'm not feeling not getting paid, because I've cut my hours back, from work. So anyway, I've done all those things to make sure that I'm going to be successful in this program. And even though a doctoral degree is a terminal degree, meaning that, that's the highest degree I can get as a nurse. Who knows what my future is going to hold. I'm thinking about going back to get a certificate in the future, maybe as a women's health nurse practitioner. I kind of skipped it. I have my master's in nursing education, but I'm thinking about maybe in 5 or 6 years from now going to get my women's health nurse practitioner certificate, which is basically an add-on, because I already have a master's degree. In order to do that, I still have to apply for school. Now, mind you, with a doctoral degree, when a 3.8, whatever I told you, 7.5 or 5.7 or whatever it is, I'm not going to have a problem getting into any program. So that I'm not concerned about. But I always make sure that when I'm going to school and investing into my education, that my grades represent a knowledge base, a new acquired knowledge base that I have, because of the fact that I have taken the time to study and really learn. Do you want to deal with or talk to someone who has a master's degree, or who's a nurse practitioner, who can't tell you A from B, but they got good grades, but they still can't tell you anything? No one cares about your good grades in the public. They want to know what you have up here. They want to know what you can apply to the real world situation. And so I want to make sure I can do that. So, I want to be successful at that. So the next thing I have on here is I put decreased my work hours. Now, like I told you, that goes back to the planning stage and the sacrifice that I was talking about earlier. I purposely decreased my hours because of the fact that I did 180 hours this summer. I got to do 240 hours right now this fall. And in the spring, I do additional 240 hours, and then I'm done with my program. Well, obviously clinicals are done typically during the week, weekdays at that. Well, when do you think I work? I work during the week, weekdays. So there's no way I could do both of them. So therefore, I've had to really cut back and sacrifice because I'm decreasing my work hours. So therefore, I'm not getting paid as much as I usually get paid. I probably have taken about a 20 to, I want to say maybe a, to be honest with you, I've probably taken about a $20,000 pay cut, $20,000 to $25,000 pay cut as a result of doing this program for this last year. And that's significant because there's people who only make 20,000 a year in some jobs. So when I tell you 20,000, 25,000 hurts, you know, it hurts, but I had no choice because I have to get this done. And it's like this. If you want to go to school, if you want to do this program, you will have to cut your hours back in this situation. And if you can't cut your hours back, then you don't need to be going to school. So you need to find, again, a time in your life in which this is going to work for you. I wanted to do this program a long time ago, but I had just had a baby in 2012. And even when I was pregnant, you know, my advisor at the time was like, okay, you really need to go back for your doctoral degree. And I'm like, I'm very much pregnant. So I can tell you right now, having a new baby and having to take care of him and, you know, getting the things that he needs and just everything that comes along with having a new baby, school was not in the cards for me at that point in time. So I purposely waited till he turned, I want to say 4 to do my research. And when he started kindergarten, that's when I actually started my doctoral program. That's what worked for me because I knew I could not take off of work any sooner than that. So, you know, and then I went part-time, like I told you. So I picked the 3-year route instead of the 2-year route because that way my first year, it allowed me at that program to take one class at a time. And because I did take one class at a time, it was great because it's like, okay, I'm taking one class at a time. And as a result of taking one class at a time, I was able to kind of get acclimated or reacclimated into a graduate level course and feel like I wasn't going to struggle doing so. So our whole first year, we only took one class. Starting year 2, we started taking 2 classes, and we're taking 2 classes until, you know, graduation. And I had to get used to taking 2 classes and trying to juggle my time between 2 classes. That was very difficult. And again, that's where I got my first B because I was juggling between epidemiology and that research class I had to take. But, you know, it wasn't my fault, but it is what it is. So anyway, those are some of the tips that I have. I mean, it's nothing that's just, you know, rocket science. It's really sitting down and thinking about, can I really do this? I had to cut some of the sports out for my kids. My kids are used to doing basketball in the winter or the fall, winter. They're used to doing soccer in the spring and fall. And they do they're boys. So the boys do hip hop dance year round, basically. They get maybe a month off in the summertime, but they do hip hop dance, you know, pretty much the whole year. So we had to figure out, like, what am I going to do with that? I don't have time and or money to do all these extracurricular activities. So we had to stop those activities. Now they still do dance. They've done dance the entire time because that's the cheapest. And it was the easiest for me to just drop them off or at least sit in the parking lot while they're in there practicing and get my work done in the car. But you know, I didn't have time for Saturday games. I didn't have time for anything like that. So, you know, weekday practices and Saturday games, ripping and running. And I have 2 boys. So there's 2 practices, 2 games. Sometimes it's double hit. I mean, just all these different things. I didn't have time for that. So here we are now. I'm in year 3 and my schedule's kind of opened up a little bit. So I'm going to put some money aside because my oldest son does want to play basketball this fall. So, or this winter, the winter league, he wants to play basketball. So I was like, well, you know what? Now that I'm not having to take all these classes, now the only thing I'm really focusing on is my clinical hours. I think I can muster up the time to do a 1 day a week practice. I'm not sure if my younger son wants to do basketball or not, but we're trying to figure that out. But either way, to do a 1 day a week practice and to do a game on a Saturday, I think we can do that now. So I'm probably going to put him back in basketball this fall, but he missed it last year. So like I said, it was just one of those things. You have to figure out what's good for you and do what's good for you and your family. It helps to have a great support system, someone who can help you in terms of keeping the kids for you, or just, you know, having some home meal, you know, some good home cooked meals made or prepped. Get you a crock pot, you know, to help cook those meals and save you some time. These boys love spaghetti. So, I mean, spaghetti is quick and easy. I'll get them some spaghetti and some garlic bread and call it a day and something to drink. They're good to go. I also noticed that with kids, I had to go to the library quite a bit. And it's not a bad thing. It's just that I know I could not, work with them here in the house, because they were like, mama, 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 they want to tell me something, they want to show me something. So the easiest thing for me to do was to go to the library when I could, so that I could actually do my work while they were either in school, or if they're at home here at the house, then I would go to the library and just have a place where I could actually, focus on school and get some schoolwork done. And I'll probably go for a couple of hours a day, here or there, depending on what day of the week it was. That really helped me a lot. And when it came to epidemiology specifically, I had an online tutor that helped me a lot with that. That's why I got the A in that class. I really studied hard for that class. I really stayed at the library for epidemiology because I felt like I needed the peace and quiet to really understand how to do things. Some other resources that I used was YouTube. Believe it or not, this very forum right here, YouTube, I used it a lot. If it's something I didn't know how to do, a SWOT analysis as an example, because our instructors did not do a very good job explaining it. So I went on YouTube and I'm like, okay, I understand how to do a SWOT analysis now. So, YouTube was a great resource to help me make good grades as well. And then one thing that's not per se, a resource per se, but it was definitely helpful. I have an accountability partner. So what we do is one of my classmates. We basically text each other or call each other several times a week, and basically say, hey, have you did your assignment? It's already, have you posted your assignment? Or if I'm having a question, I'm going to email her or text her, or she's going to text me. We would, I'll say I've read chapters 1 through 3, and she's like, oh, I haven't did that yet. So it's kind of like having an exercise accountability partner, somebody that kind of keeps you focused and keeps you going. That's what she is for me, or we are for each other. And we have been successful with having that accountability partner. So we tend to work together in groups because we just know each other's ways and things like that. And if I find websites or webinars or, clinical experiences that would benefit her, I send them to her and she sends them to me, so that we could basically work together. And, we don't do each other's work or nothing like that. So no, we're very much, we do our own work, but it's more so just to make sure that each other stays on task and kind of keeps up with the assignments and what we're supposed to be doing. And that has been greatly beneficial to me. And I think she says the same. So, like I said, we are almost done with our program now. So we really don't have to kind of, reach out to each other quite as much, because we're just doing clinicals basically. And so, but if I see an opportunity for her, I say, hey, they're having a seminar on leadership at this place, I'm going to send it to her. And so she's going to do the same for me. So I think that for me has been really the godsend in terms of having very good people in my life that is either, keeping me on track. So that's what's really helped me, be successful thus far in this program. So I hope you have found this beneficial. Again, it's nothing that's rocket science. I have good people in my corner who are helping me, who keep me motivated, who send me daily text. I've read scripture to help keep me focused. I do have a mounted scripture on my wall. It says, she is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. And that's Proverbs 31:25. And that, for me, that scripture, sometimes when I get kind of down, that scripture really kind of, resonates well with me, because I'm like, okay, that's what you're gonna be able to say when you're finished, when you walk across that stage. And I'm not gonna lie to you and say that this has not been an experience that's been quite difficult, that I haven't had tears, that there's days where I want to give up. And I'm pretty much like that all the time. Well, not all the time, but where I just want to give up and give up and give up. But here we are. I keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. Nursing school was very much the same way, where I had blood, sweat, and tears, and it was just, I got to finish it. I got to finish it, and I did. So for any of you all who are feeling discouraged at the moment, you're worried about, how is it that I can make these good grades? At the end of the day, you just need to graduate, do the best you can. I'm not really a component of the C equals RN thing. I don't agree with that. If a C is the best you can do in that class, then so by means, then make the C. I'm a component of you doing the best you can in any class, whatever that happens to be. I did get 1 C in nursing school, and that was in adult health too. And that was just my weakest. I did the best I could, but that's what I got. All my other classes got A's or B's. So I'm not one to skate by any means. I'm one that I'm going to do the best I can, because at the end of the day, we all are impacting patients' lives. And so we have to make sure that we're mindful of that. If you're coming into nursing, come for the right reasons, and to know that, we have to make good grades because of the fact that we're not even nursing. If you're doing mental health, maybe you are a counselor, maybe you just whatever, you're impacting people. If you're definitely doing that, you need to be the top of your game, and you can't become up here making C's and thinking that that's satisfactory. Again, if that's the best you can do, then that is the best you can do. I have no issue with that at all. Just do the best that you can do. And, if now is not a time for you to go to school, then you don't need to go to school. If you like, well, I have to work, that's not going to work for me. Well, then you have to wait till you don't have to work as much. Some of these programs are not conducive to working, and that's the truth. You have to be honest with yourself and say, is this program that I'm enrolling for, that's where your research comes in at, is it conducive to me working full time? Can I work at this program? Because if it's not, then you can't. CRNA students can't work at all. So they really have to figure it out. So make sure that you're doing, what you're doing in a time that's good for you in your life, because if you're not, you will not be successful, or something's going to give, as I say. Either your children will suffer, your relationships, if you're married or boyfriend, whatever, will suffer, your schoolwork will suffer, or possibly all three of those will suffer. So you want to make sure that you are ready to basically do whatever needs to be done. So this video is long enough. If you have any questions or concerns, you want me to do a video for you on some other topic, please leave that comment below. Follow me on IG. You will see the banner, the icon on the banner at the top. There's two up there. One is for my plus size journey, fashion, beauty, makeup, and the other one is for nursing. So anyway, if you would like to know more about me and that, definitely go over there and check it out. Until the next time, you all take care. Bye-bye.